All right, y'all, welcome back to the channel. We are outside today in the back food forest, and we wanted to do a quick watch along react video for y'all. We have some really, what I think is exciting news about Amos Miller, the Amish organic farmer.
Yeah.
And just wanted to share it with y'all. And basically, the word of encouragement is social media works in this aspect. From everything that I've seen and the way I understand it, Doug from Off Grid with Doug and Stacy was the one that originally brought this issue up and kind of put it into the social media space and to the core of public opinion and created a lot of traction surrounding it. That was not that long ago, maybe less than 2-3 months ago, something like that. And the video we're gonna watch today, I think is very encouraging, and there could be some unmitigated good news. So this is a clip from Viva Fry. You can find him over on Rumble, but he has a Rumble channel where he talks about lawyer stuff and legal stuff and the ramifications and whatnot. And here he's talking with another one of his colleagues, Robert Barnes, who is also an attorney. And so let's get started watching the video.
Amos Miller. Okay, so we've talked about this a couple of times. This is the Amish farmer, and again, people, I'm gonna steel man this because there is another side. It's not, according to some, just the case of an Amish farmer who's being picked on for selling his local product to locals. The basis of the suit is that the basis of the issue is that allegedly this Amish farmer is not employing safe practices for farming. He's not properly labeling products. Apparently in 2014, a death was associated with milk that he produced. He's not just a local guy. He's shipping across the country with a complex network of distribution. So it's not just a mom and pop's Amish farmer. This is an industry, and it needs to be regulated the way the industry is regulated to ensure that people don't die from drinking, poison milk. That's the steel man of the other side. He was issued.
The core of it is that what's happening, you have a farmer who, family farm, doesn't sell in retail, sells to a private membership association. So these are people who want their food made in a very particular way. They do not want their food controlled by the U.S. Department of Agriculture. They do not want certain chemicals.
What's more insane about this whole topic is the fact that, one, there's this whole new green, sustainable agenda being foisted upon us, and we realize that these code words aren't real words. These are code words like green and like sustainable.
And we know it's literally, when they say these things, it's the direct opposite of what they are actually wanting to do. So.
Right, exactly. And what's even more interesting is here you actually have someone who is doing sustainable, regenerative agriculture in not only a meaningful way, but in a real way where he has 4,000 happy customers, right? And he should, instead of being persecuted and prosecuted by the Just Us system, he should be commended and looked at as an example to emulate. But instead, they want to make him a pariah. They want to make him a case study, and they want to persecute and prosecute him and tax and collect him to death and fine him to death and fine him into non-existence. And we covered all the propaganda around this case where these bogus, trumped up charges and somebody died, and this is all completely false. And on our old Amos Miller videos, we still get the propaganda like, but somebody died from his milk and all that stuff. And it's absolutely false. It's not true.
Bogus.
There's no evidence of that. They're gonna speak more to it. So let's get back to the video.
They do not want certain additives or preservatives on their food. In fact, so his entire customer base is based on people who do not want the big agriculture's version of food, or the U.S. Department of Agriculture's version of food. So that's the background for the case. Further broader context is, let's get to the short-term issue. Come October 31st, he faces a hearing in which the U.S. government is seeking over $300,000 to start. That won't be the end of it. $300,000 and potentially millions of dollars to the point where they could bankrupt it. They want a judgment added to the case where his wife will be added to the judgment without any due process at all. Without any trial.
As a defendant after the fact.
Correct. As a defendant after the fact, just added, here's a judgment. It's on you now. Just like that. End of story. They want the judgment to be immediately collectible so they can seize the farm, seize all assets that they want immediately. And if he doesn't go along, they want him put in prison. They want him jailed until he does what they want. So you have
What makes this even more important, y'all? I don't know if any of y'all have heard or seen of any of the stuff that's going on with the Alex Jones trial, but I mean that that is a show trial. That is a bunch of. There's no kind of just us. It's all just them and not about us in any of that show trial stuff. It's incredible. It's an incredible kangaroo court. It's an atrocity against humanity. It's an atrocity to justice. And I mean, I'm not a fan of Alex Jones, but I can at least, I think he should have a real fair trial, and it shouldn't be just some fake, felonious, bogus misappropriation of all the federal funds that are associated with it. And then you're just attempting to destroy the man based upon pretense and pretext. And it's the same exact thing that's happening to Amos Miller. But see, our just us system is completely weaponized. And it's weaponized against Amos, it's weaponized against organic farmers, it's weaponized against alternative media folks like Alex Jones, just like the way they deplatformed him and silenced and censored him, and now they want to just eradicate him. I mean, if they could, they would publicly execute him.
Oh yeah.
I mean, but financially, they're trying to do that. That's what they're trying to do.
And they want to get rid of all these organic farms, so then once they eradicate them all, and then when they move in with this net zero type of plan, they're like, well, there's no other way except for our way to get around, just eating bugs and stuff like that. There's no holistic way to do it.
Well, they want to eliminate the holistic ways, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because they have no interest in anybody being healthy.
No,
they have no
care.
interest in the moon shot and curing cancer and all that stuff. It's all about money. It's all about procurement. It's all about an asset grab, and that's what's going on.
Yep.
a farmer facing imprisonment, his wife facing an imminent judgment, him facing a huge amount of money, and that could lead to the bankruptcy of the farm, unless he does exactly what his community of faith and what the people buying the food do not want him to do, which is have USDA licensed, marketed, branded, chemical, preservative added food. So now let's go to the broader legal context of how all this came about. In 1906 or thereabout, even before then, there was efforts afoot. Big agriculture wanted to consolidate their power against smaller farmers. That's one part of the equation, beginning in the 1900s. The second was Upton Sinclair wrote a book called The Jungle, which purported to expose the Chicago stockyards as producing unsafe food. Sinclair famously joked, "I aim to hit their heart, I hit their stomach instead." Now, the book is a fictional book. It was taken as accurate muckraking. There's controversy to this day how accurate, in fact, was. Regardless, European meat producers used the book to say American meat's unsafe. We have to keep it out of our European markets as a competitive edge. The answer to that was Roosevelt passed the Meat Act and the Poultry Act. Now, Congress was concerned that the federal government would take control over the family farm. Congress was concerned that, and it was doubtful whether the Commerce Clause extended that far. Today, the Interstate Commerce Clause has been expanded to where it's a kind of a crock. But under the original understanding, our federal government would only deal with trade between states, not deal with any intra-state activity. We've eviscerated that under a range of theories, but that's another story for another day. Congress wanted to lock into the law that the U.S. Department of Agriculture would not be regulating family farms, would not be regulating how we make our own meat and our own food, would not be regulating religious communities that use animal sacrifice as rituals within as a method of religious expression. So they said this law only applies to food shipped into and through interstate commerce. Now, what is that traditionally understood to be meant?
Yeah.
The goal was that I, as a consumer, I go to my local grocery store. I want assurances that the food meets some method of safety testing. A proxy for that is that it could be USDA marked, and that the mark, it basically, just like the FDA, the USDA was created as a branding agency, a marketing agency, whose power was to inspect those facilities that wanted to distribute across state lines into the retail markets of unknowing consumers to protect the consumer's knowledge of the product. It was never supposed to be regulating small farms in America. It was never supposed to regulate voluntary consumer choices in America. It was not what the USDA is trying to become. And by the way, this case started under Trump, because Trump had no eye on the ball for what his own administration was doing. Bill Barr helped propagate this lunatic case that you have a situation, because for the facts, they never showed that Amos Miller product caused any harm at all. And as a general rule,
and this is always my contention with government regulation in any form, fashion, or facet. This is always what's happened. What starts out with what appears on the facade or on the skin of it to be with good intentions, it always becomes nefarious. Now, whether or not the initial intent was nefarious, it ends up nefarious. And it ends up as a power grab, and it ends up as an overreach, and it ends up as a bigger beast. We have a t-shirt, it says chain the beast. All governments must be restrained. They all must be chained, abolished, whatever it takes. Nobody in government wants to shrink government. And that's why you get these rogue USDA, rogue FDA, FBI, CIA, NSA, fill in the ABC, whatever, and it's all the same thing, and it's all overreach, and it's all beast system, rage, beast, kill man, and leave the government. And it's all communism, and it's all socialism, and it's all totalitarian authorityism, and it's a technocratic oligarchy. And it is hate the people, kill the people, tax and fleece the people, steal from the people, and we're the government, and we can because we got a gun.
Yep.
And here's a key fact. How many consumers of Amos Miller are protesting or filed a complaint?
Well, and I'll say
zero.
Zilch,
Zunka, nada.
When I'm reading the news from the other side that wants to depict the Amish farmer as the enemy, they say one death was attributed to his milk in 2014. If that's the unit of measurement, how many deaths have been attributed to anything that bears the USDA stamp of approval? I mean,
they never even proved up that tie. And by the way, what does it have to do with his meat and poultry or anything else? What it is they're trying to use this case as a means to establish a precedent that the USDA wants to take what was supposed to be interstate labeling control, and they want to govern what you get to put in your own body. Your own food and your own body. Here you have people who are saying, I don't want food the way the USDA wants it. They're saying, nope, you can't have it that way. And we'll use our control over interstate labeling of a product that's not even being distributed in regular interstate means going to local grocers or retailers. It's going to people who said, I only want this product this way. They're trying to deny what was supposed to be about increasing consumers' informed choice is now being used to strip them of that choice. And remember, the USDA, you know what they consider healthy? Bill Gates' synthetic corn. That's what they consider healthy. Well, Bill Gates, biggest landowner now in America. His fake beef. That's what they consider healthy. Do any study of the Amish, and you will find by almost every health metric, they are healthier than the people that are living off of USDA-approved food. This is about the USDA's attempt to monopolize our food supply, and they targeted an Amish farmer to prove the precedent. And that's why they're going to such extreme lengths. I mean, there was even part of a ruling which said that Amos Miller had to label what he was going to produce for his own family and say, here's what George is eating. Here's what Lucy's eating. Federal judges are making insane orders that have way past their power. And what it is the USDA knows they can't do this directly. So they're using judicial process to do so. They bring a case based on something that isn't quite related, and then they expand. And then, like we're seeing in the Alex Jones trial, they misuse judicial power and the threat of contempt. So you're getting ridiculous monetary judgments without a jury trial. You're getting orders to put somebody in prison who's committed no crime. That's how insane it's getting. And that's why Amos Miller's case impacts everybody. It's about your right to eat what you want the way you made it, and the federal government ain't got no business with it.
Well, because it's the distinction that you draw, which is going to a grocery store and buying products which you assume have gone through some, I don't know, some standard of production is one thing. If I go to the
wonderful USDA food charts and food products that have done such wonders for our health over the last 30, 40 years.
And set that aside. But if I go to the ostrich farm in St. Eustache and I get an organic ostrich egg, I know for certain, and that's why I'm there, is to get it from this particular farm, because they have products I want, they do it in the way I want. And now they're going to come in and say, no, you can't sell these ostrich eggs, you can't sell this ostrich meat unless we impose the USDA requirements here, where the very people going here are going here because they don't want those. And that was an exclusion. So there is an exclusion. And now it's just a question of extent and scope. This guy sells interstate, which is what the article that I read highlighted, but it's from people who deliberately seek out this producer because of the way he produces, and not by accident getting it on a shelf thinking it went through the USDA, fed antibiotic type meat.
And the reason they targeted him is in the Amish community, they shun publicity and try to avoid the legal system. So the government knew this would be a very vulnerable target. There wouldn't be a fight back in the court of public opinion, in all likelihood. There wouldn't be much of a fight in the court of law. And he tried to fire his lawyer multiple times. The court wouldn't allow him to, has superimposed that lawyer on the case. And this lawyer is out bashing his own client to liberal press. And this is a lawyer, when you dig into his history, has a long record of ethics complaints, has a long record of investigations and suspensions. So here you have a federal court, like a star chamber, forcing a rogue lawyer on someone who doesn't want him, who's behaving in a patently unethical way.
It's funny. One of the articles that I read also brought up the fact that this Amish guy had gone through several lawyers, as if to paint him as a difficult client. Robert,
there's very few people that are in this field. There's very few people who understand the broader political context. There's very few people that are willing, and people in the Amish community don't want public attention. But this case needs to be publicly discussed and exposed. Credit to Tucker Carlson for talking about it, because of the consequences. It's about our right to farm the way we want and the food we want, the way we want it. The USDA is trying to strip that away from us, and they're willing to lock up an Amish farmer in order to prove their point, and bankrupt him in the process if they can, and his wife and his family to prove their point.
Now, I think there was a GoFundMe, which if they're using, I think they're using GoFundMe, unfortunately, and they were trying to raise some of the money. They got up to like 30,000. I can't share the GoFundMe. You can go find it if you want, but I'll maybe send out a little feeler to see if they start a give, send, go.
He does have a new lawyer.
Robert, who might that be?
Me.
Someone in the chat just says, why doesn't Robert represent them? Robert, okay, so I guess I'll post the links where people can support, but it has to be a give, send, go, people. It can't be GoFundMe.
This is really exciting news. Robert Barnes is a legit attorney. He understands the scope. He understands what's going on. So at least if there is any semblance of any kind of justice in America, in the just us system, he at least is going to have a shot at this, to not be made just an example and a pariah and a case study and a case law, and be financially destroyed and put out of business, and also set a case law to financially destroy and annihilate and disassemble every other organic farmer, small or large scale, that there is, so that we can eat the bugs.
So Robert, the next stage has it been pushed
in October
to
31st hearing to try to put him in prison?
Put him in prison for not paying a fine.
Be done in the interim. I mean, there's been a bunch of crazy things when I read through the docket. It's a case that went AWOL because the government hasn't kept it on track and didn't keep the court properly informed about the limits of what the court should be doing. And the combination of the two is how we got here. And you got someone who's not familiar with the federal legal system, the legal process, the regulatory process, just trying to do what his community of faith has always done, how his family has always farmed, and what people want him to produce. And he's just trying to do that the best he can with, rogue USDA agents who shockingly are lying repeatedly throughout the proceedings. We'll be inquiring into that aspect and other aspects. But it's a case that needs to be fought back on in every terms possible to achieve a resolution that protects the right to farm as you see fit and for us to pick food as we see fit.
So what we're going to do is we're going to put the full clip down below so that you can watch it uninterrupted. Some more really good news after this podcast went live. That Give, Send, Go account hit its goal of 300 and some thousand. That is the current fine that they're going to court about. That is obviously just the first step of the part of, they would continue to fine him to infinitum.
Yeah.
And to demonetize him and put him out of business and set the precedent to do it to the rest of us. That's why this is so important. Now, here's what's encouraging, right? If Doug, from Doug Off Grid with Doug and Stacy, what if he didn't put out that video, right? Because some people say, well, why do you keep making these videos and these warning videos and different things? Because when you put the information out there, people know.
Yeah.
People know. You don't know what you don't know, Exactly. And if somebody, when you present them with information, they're like, oh, that's how you make an informed decision. That's how you make an intelligent decision, is you collect the data, you collect the information, and then you can make an educated, informed decision. With all the propaganda and government schooling and propaganda camps and all the co-opted and psy-opted Mockingbird mainstream media, Project Mockingbird and the CIA and the military-industrial complex and everything that they've done to create weapons of mass destruction and babies in incubators and all these different things, right? That's why we put out these videos, because the predominance of most people are not plugged into any kind of source that is anywhere close to reality. So this is really exciting news. Robert Barnes is a knowledgeable attorney that I think will definitely be able to help Amos Miller, give him the best shot that he's got. And two, really, this was all set in motion by some YouTubers.
Yeah.
And I mean, how exciting is that? Hey, go over to Off Grid with Doug and Stacy and subscribe and hit Doug up and say, hey, 100%. The Texas Boys wanted us to send it to go over here, and thank you for drawing attention to the subject. And now it's getting real traction, and maybe we'll see a positive outcome on this, but it's very exciting. You got anything, Matt? What do you think?
I think it's awesome that, we the people can do something and fight back with such force, because the government's so wicked. They were trying to take advantage on a situation that they totally thought they had it in the bag, and we the people were able to spin it around with a couple YouTube videos and some really determined people, freedom-loving people, farm homesteaders out there that just donated. And it's just incredible that we were able to that we the people were able to support this. And Lord willing, at least he has the first payment to pay these global elites with, and hopefully we can fund them the rest of the way.
Yeah, and I mean, thank you all for watching.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Thank you for putting feet and hands and prayers and knees to this and praying about it and sharing the information. Subscribe if you're not subscribed.
Yeah, please subscribe.
Like and share it. Sign up to our Rumble account, because we're going to be doing more on Rumble, because it's definitely a less 1984, more free speech loving platform where we can share more things that are pertinent and are insightful and impact us and impact our daily lives and impact our children's future, and is literally trying to re-sculpt and reshape and rewrite not only the past in our postmodern world, but rewrite our future in real time, so that we eat the bugs.
Also, we are going live this Saturday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, so come and join us and sit down and have a laugh with us. Also, if you want to watch these videos ad-free, I would highly recommend become a native on our website. You get all of our new videos ad-free. Also, you get exclusive discounts to our website. If you didn't know, we do have a website where we sell our local honey and
T-shirts,
organic coffee, t-shirts, and lots more. And also you get all of our family's recipes on there. Thank you all so much for watching today's video. It was a blessing. Thank you for just letting us have a little chunk of your time out of the day. It means a lot to us. And we will see y'all in the next video. Bye-bye.
See y'all. Bye.